Tom Woods Show, episode 968.
Prepare to set fire to the index card of allowable opinion. Your daily dose of liberty education starts here. The Tom Woods Show.
Folks, we are inching toward the 1,000th episode of The Tom Woods Show, and I'd like you to join me for it at a special event in Orlando, September 9th, featuring Michael Malice and Tom DiLorenzo as special guests and the great Eric July as MC. It's absolutely free, but you gotta register. Check it out at tomwoods.com/Orlando. Hello everybody, Tom Woods here. Today I have dug up for you something I did not know existed. There is in fact a recording of a talk I gave at Liberty Fest 2014, which was held in Brooklyn, and I talk about a bunch of things, and maybe some of these themes will be familiar to you if you've listened to, all 967 previous episodes, but not everyone has, and there's some fresh stuff in here that you might like. And it really is dealing with this question at first, why would this be so difficult? Why is it so hard to persuade people, look, I just want you to be free? Can you go along with me on this? What's the problem here? What is the block? What's the blockage here? So I talk about that in a very, very friendly setting. Liberty Fest is filled with wonderful people, great libertarians. I attended it a number of years and always had a wonderful time. So anyway, that's what follows today as soon as I stop talking. So why don't I stop talking right now? Now, it's a little echoey. The room was not really optimized for audio, but it's understandable. It's not really a problem. So off we go. I hope you enjoy it. This would have been, what month would this have been? This would have been October, I believe. Probably October 2014, in case that matters. Here we go. Great to be introduced by the great Mike Salvi. I can't believe that jerk is making fun of my height of all things. I was just saying that my book table out there is slightly on an incline in my favor. So people are coming to get pictures with me, and I look a little taller than usual. Because I usually get that, by the way. Hey, it's great to meet you. You're much shorter than I thought you'd be. Yeah, all right. Yeah, no one's ever thought to say that to me before. Thanks a lot. All right, well, my wife is actually here with me, as is our youngest child, 7-month-old Sarah. We have 5 children. They're all girls. And I'm pretty sure Sarah, I have to put my glasses on, but yeah, that's Sarah all the way in the back with my wife. She's got to be the youngest one here, right? 7 months. She's even shorter than I am. And the thing is, you don't want to propagandize your kids, but you do want them to know the truth, and so it's kind of a tightrope that you walk. And with my kids, when they ask me things, they want to know my opinion on things, I tell them. I tell them where I stand on things. And one day, we were in the car together, me and the girls, and my 11-year-old turned to her sisters and said, gosh, if we didn't have him as our dad, we wouldn't know any of this stuff. Just where I was not going to tell you any children's stories, but it does remind me of the time a few years ago when our oldest daughter, a few years ago, she answered, or one of us answered the door, and we came back, and I don't know, it might have been a salesman, just somebody we didn't want to talk to, and she said, who's at the door? We said, oh, nobody we wanted to talk to. And I kid you not, she said, was it the IRS? And this is just, she's absorbing this through osmosis. I've never mentioned the IRS to her up to the point. Anyway, all right. So I've only got so much time here. I think we're a little bit behind schedule. They allowed me to come on because I can hang around a little bit afterward and chit-chat, but then we have something we got to get to all the way in Manhattan, and I don't know how long it takes. Whatever. So I'm glad to have this chance to talk right now. What I'm going to talk about is, if I had to give a title for my talk, it would be, Why Liberty is Such a Hard Sell and What We Can Do About It. Because it doesn't seem like liberty should be the easiest thing in the world to sell. Look, we just want you to be free. Like, you can't believe people are arguing with you about this, right? That's astonishing to me.
This should just be, oh wow, hey, I hadn't thought of that. Great, I'd love to be free. I would like to subscribe to your newsletter, sir. That you would think it would go that way, doesn't it? Now, why is that? Why is that? Why is it so hard to sell, I just want to free you? Why is that hard to sell? There are a number of reasons. And of course, one is that people are surrounded by propaganda, whether it's in school or whether it's through the media or whatever. And both of these forms of propaganda, by the way, are diminishing in influence, and that's a good thing. But for now, they are still very, very powerful. And they've got people thinking all kinds of preposterous things about the state as their great protector. And they hesitate to let it go. They won't let it go. Oh, I am so tempted to start singing right now, but I won't. So, for example, we've all, and every one of us, at one time or another, we've all been told about the social contract. Man, you can't secede from the government, or you can't withdraw, you can't refuse to do this and that, because you're part of a social contract, man. You agreed to this, remember? And my answer to that is, as a matter of fact, I really don't. I don't remember that. I do remember signing a document when I bought a house that I'm going to give some money and you're going to give me a house. Or I remember when I bought a car. I signed something saying, here, I promise I'll give you some money and you're going to give me a car. Now, a car is less important, I would think, than an institution claiming to take, a third of your gross income forever. And yet they don't have a form. I didn't sign anything. I never consented to anything like this. Because they're afraid of what I might say. Maybe I won't agree to it. So they don't bother asking. They just assume that I have accepted it because I haven't moved away. And that's what your friends say too, don't they? Those friends on Facebook, right? And you're saying to yourself, I knew I shouldn't have put my high school friends on Facebook. I should have just left that behind. That chapter of my life is over. But you let them in, and they're saying to you, man, you've lost your mind since high school, right? I mean, it's a social contract. And of course, we know that you would have agreed to it hypothetically, and that's good enough for us. And plus, you haven't left. You haven't left. So, as I said, I have 5 girls, 5 young girls. And what I say to them, if they were being bullied on the playground by some bully who beats people up, would I say, well, what are you complaining about? You didn't leave, right? You hung around, so of course you had it coming to you. Like, no one thinks this way, no one talks this way. Or if the mafia takes over your town, you don't say, well, hey, what am I going to do, right? I didn't leave. I guess I got to give my kickback to the mafia. But that is identical to the argument from the social contracts. That's one. The second thing is that people have been led to believe that the system we live under is legitimized because it's democratic. It's democratic, right? We all vote. And that means it's okay. I can take your stuff or throw you in a cage or whatever because we all vote. But there's no other part of life in which that holds. Now, it's true in civil society. Maybe you join the chess club. To see what a dork I am, I choose chess club as my random example. And you vote on who's going to be the president of the chess club. Okay, well, everybody going into that has freely acknowledged that that's the rule. Everybody's freely acknowledged that. But in the rest of life, you don't go out to dinner and then have all your friends vote that you're going to pay for everybody's dinner. Even if they did, like suppose all you guys want to go out for dinner with me later. That'd be a lot of fun. But I don't care how many votes you guys hold, I'm not paying. And just the fact that there are more of you than there are of me doesn't make it any more right for you to make me pay for all yours. Now maybe someday I will sell enough books that I'll come to Liberty Fest 78 or whatever it is, and we'll all go out to dinner and I'll pay. But that'll be because it was my choice. Okay? Don't start applauding. Don't egg me on. That's not actually going to happen. So don't start clearing your schedules or anything. We're also taught that the state is just a public service agency, right? It's populated by crusaders for justice who are impartially pursuing the common good, right? Dispassionately looking out for you and me. Well, I won't address that one here tonight because I have a whole talk on this on YouTube. I think this is my favorite talk of all time. And it has a terrible title. I should have just called it "The State is Not a Public Service Agency." That would have been a better title than what I came up with. It's called "4 Things the State is Not." It's the best talk I've ever given. And one of them is, it is not a public service agency that's just innocently looking out for you and me and has no interests of its own. It does have interests of its own, as a matter of fact. It is actually looking to line its own pockets and build up budgets and build up power centers and fiefdoms. That is exactly what it is. Or we're told we can't possibly live without it. Because where would we be if we didn't have the government providing A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Well, I got tired of hearing about that, so I wrote this book called Rollback, in which I was saying, look, we're going to have to cut these things back anyway as it is, so let's enjoy doing it instead of being depressed about it, because we don't need them to begin with. So I've covered that there. But another reason people are not so apt immediately to embrace the message you're trying to convey to them is the reason that was identified many years ago by, well, Albert J. Nock and some others, that people prefer to do things the easy way rather than the hard way. That is to say, if you can acquire wealth by painstakingly working to figure out what people want and pouring enormous amounts of blood, sweat, and tears into providing that thing for them and earn money that way, or you can earn money by being a bureaucratic leech who just feeds off the public, or if you can become wealthy by arranging for a wealth transfer to you from everyone else, well, you'd rather do that. A lot of people would rather do that. Moreover, another reason is that universal sympathy is very hard to come by. That is to say, we like our friends, we like our families, we like our neighbors a lot of times, but the idea that we think about the fortunes of the whole world, most people don't. They think about their own individual circle, and that's about as far as it goes. And we see that all the time in the example of war. Look at how easily people you know as being otherwise, apparently anyway, decent people, all of a sudden they are cheering in the most bloodthirsty manner for the killing of people who they never even heard of 10 minutes ago. They don't even know who these people are, much less where they are. They don't know who these people are. They don't care that civilians are dying. But they're going to pump their fist in the air and shout, USA, USA. They didn't even know these people because you don't have this universal sympathy. You have to learn this. You have to inculcate it in yourself. Because apparently there seems to be, given the long, sad history of warfare, there seems to be, for some reason, hardwired into the human race, an inability to show sympathy for peoples we don't know. And when you're talking about, I want freedom for everybody, a lot of people are inclined to think, I want freedom maybe for myself. I want freedom to do the things I want to do, but I don't want those people to have freedom to do the things they want to do. We run into this all the time, right? People who will not accept this as a principle. Maybe they'll accept it for themselves, but they won't accept it as a principle. And this goes back a long ways. I've been spending a lot of time, I guess I probably haven't complained about this enough yet, so let me add one more to my list of times I've complained, even though I'm not really complaining. I love what I do, and it's great, but I'm really tired because I'm spending all my time creating courses for Ron Paul's homeschool program. And one of the topics that I've been talking about this past week in my Western Civ 2 course is the wars of religion in France in the 1560s and the 1590s. What's very interesting about that is that in the 1580s, as the Protestants are really feeling oppressed by the government, they start writing tracts about the right and the responsibility to resist the king. We have the right to resist an oppressive king. For example, a man, we attribute this work, Vindiciae contra Tyrannos, we attribute it to a man named Philippe Duplessis Mornay. He wrote this great work about the right to resist kings. Then they found out that the next king, it was announced by King Henry III, who was a Catholic, it was announced that the next king, after Henry III died, was going to be Henry of Navarre. Henry of Navarre was a Protestant. So now all of a sudden the Huguenots, the French Protestants, decided, wait a minute, let's stop writing about the right to resist the king. Forget that. Because we're about to get a Protestant king. We don't want people resisting him. So all of a sudden, these treatises about the principled stance to resist the king suddenly went out of fashion. We don't care about that anymore. As long as it's our king, as long as it's somebody we agree with, it doesn't matter. I recently on my podcast had a guy from Iowa, a radio host named Steve Deace. And I've had a love-hate relationship with Steve Deace. I've made videos appealing to him to endorse Ron Paul, to support him during the presidential campaigns. In fact, during Ron's second campaign, Deace is an evangelical Christian. And I can make an evangelical case for Ron. I can make any case you want for Ron, because Ron should please anybody who actually understands it. So they had somebody from the official campaign go on and make an evangelical case for Ron Paul. And this guy, I won't mention his name, got eaten for lunch by Steve Deace. Absolutely ate him alive. So I said, well, look, I know the official campaign doesn't like me. I'll go on this guy's radio show. And I had the guy eat it out of the palm of my hand. It was great. We had a great time. Well, I had Steve on my show. And I said, Steve, is there anything you've changed your mind about the past few years? And he said, well, okay, yeah, a couple things. Number one, I've been dead wrong about foreign policy. Everything I've recommended has blown up in my face. And I thought, wow, who ever admits something like this, right? Incredible. And secondly, he said, I used to think that I didn't have to worry about government power if somebody who shared my values was exercising it. He said, oh, I can't believe I went through that. And I thought, isn't this great? Now, I don't agree with Steve on everything, and there are some things I disagree with him very much about. But wow, somebody honest enough to say, I was wrong, and I'm going to think about these things anew. I was wrong to think that, freedom is okay for me and not for these other people. Or I was wrong to think that as long as my friend is running it, it's okay. All right, so now what do we do? So these are problems. These are reasons that it's so hard to get our message across. What are some approaches to this? How can we deal with it? Number one is, now I'm not trying to criticize any particular person, but I don't think, for example, that we should disparage the idea of so-called preaching to the choir. Sometimes you hold an event like this, and people will say, what's the point of an event like this? You're just preaching to the choir. Well, I want to defend preaching to the choir for a minute. Because I've never been in a church where the pastor says to the choir, hey, I'm about to have my sermon, so why don't you guys go out and smoke a cigarette? The choir listens to the preacher. The choir needs to be preached to. The choir needs to be educated, encouraged. The choir needs opportunities for networking. The choir needs to be re-energized, which is what we have at events like this. And I would rather have a small but dedicated, knowledgeable choir than superficially convert 1 million people who will change on a dime when they hear one argument from the New York Times. It's much more important to get deeply into somebody, in the sense of into that mind, get them understanding things, get them really understanding the message. I'd rather have a small group like that than a huge group that knows a few of our bumper sticker slogans. But as soon as Barack Obama comes to town to give a speech, they're out there cheering. I'd rather have that choir. And then the choir can go out and one at a time persuade people. Or think about those of you in this room who were converted to this cause because you watched a YouTube video, and then you started watching another one, and then another one, and it's 5 in the morning, and you say, all right, I've just got to stop doing this. And then at 9 in the morning, you finally quit. Ask yourself, where were those videos made? A lot of those videos were made at events that are disparaged as preaching to the choir. But somehow, that event reached you. It is not a waste of time. So what I often say is that everybody should identify a niche. So if you think you're a good writer, then that's what you should do. You should be writing. But you can always become a better writer. Even if you're a good writer, you can become better. How do you become a better writer? And I say the shortcut, well, it isn't really a shortcut, it's the only path, really, to becoming a better writer, is to read people who are good writers. And you begin to absorb what good writing is. When you sit down to write your thing, and you say, such and such writer would never write such an awful pedestrian sentence as this, you go back and you try again. And one thing that's been recommended to me, and I know this might rub some people the wrong way, but is to find somebody whose writing style you like, because communicating with other people is essential if we're going to have any effect. We have to be able to communicate effectively. Find somebody who's a good writer, whose writing you like, and try your best to imitate that person. And I don't mean that you want to sound exactly like that person, that that's what you're aiming at. But it gives you something to shoot for. It gives you a quality level, a bar to shoot for. And then as you work, you develop your own style. But you're shooting for something that's higher than where you are now. Likewise, if you're good at public speaking, you should do that. And you should watch good public speakers and say, why was that an effective speech? What made that effective? Or I would say if you're an animator, we need good animation. We need cute little movies and stuff. We've got to reach people at every level where they can be. So I've tried to pick out a niche for myself. And what I've been doing recently is, as Mike mentioned, I have a weekday show. And I really enjoy doing that. I have all kinds of experts on various topics. And we're basically providing a dose of liberty education Monday through Friday. Through TomWoodsRadio.com is the website. And what I'm going to do sometime by, at the very latest, early 2015, is I'm going to make a free guide to how to start your own podcast. And I'm going to start it from, it's going to be like a blog post, but like the blog post to end all blog posts. I'll never want to blog again after this. I'm going to go from, you have no podcast, and you're not even really sure what one is, to you have a podcast and people are downloading it on iTunes and they love it. So I'm going to do that for free. So if you want that, you got to just follow me somehow. Get my newsletter, like something. Just follow me somehow, you'll get that. TomWoods.com is my website. I'm doing what have I got? Right? I don't know how to fix things. I don't know how to fix anything. Plumbing, my car. I don't know how any of it works. Not the slightest idea. So I'm no good at that, and I accept that. My wife is vastly better at those things than I am. And only occasionally does she make fun of me for this. She's an extremely good sport. So I take what I can do. So as I said, I'm making courses for Ron Paul's homeschool program, ronpaulhomeschool.com. What's great about that program is it doesn't just teach the kids how to acquire a lot of knowledge and keep it in your head and feel proud of yourself because you have a lot of knowledge. It teaches them how to communicate, teaches them public speaking. It teaches them how to write quickly and effectively, and it teaches them how to start their own blog while they're in high school, so that by the time they become full-fledged adults, they are ready to speak to an audience. Nobody else, no one's doing that. We're doing it, and I'm excited to be part of that. Like, we all know we got to end the Fed, but do you really feel comfortable about going up to a person and confidently explaining why we need to do this in a way that that person will be persuaded? That's not easy. But that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do with my stuff. I think I've only got a few minutes left. I can believe that. So I'm going to be really fast. Imitate my friend Michael Bolden, who runs the 10th Amendment Center. Yeah. You can take all the policy papers written by every Washington, D.C. think tank ever in the history of the world, roll them in a ball and throw them away. Yeah. Because Bolden has done more than all of that put together. Just one quick example. Just this bill that he's come up with, a beautiful idea for the NSA in any state that it has a presence or might have a presence, which is 50 states, a bill that would, number one, shut off the water to the facility because it needs over 150 million gallons of water a day to cool the computers that spy on everybody. Cut that off. If they do acquire evidence against you, the state will pass a law saying that evidence is not admissible in this state. Or we go after and punish companies. We take public contracts away from them if they're cooperating with the NSA. Likewise for universities. Hey, brilliant. What DC think tank is doing it? To the contrary, they're all standing in his way. And he's one guy in an apartment. And he's doing all this. He's making all this happen. It's incredible. One guy. So don't give me this, we should just give up because we're not having immediate victory and there's nothing we can do and it's all doom and, the Fed isn't going to be ended fast enough and all that. Look at what Bolden did. He's a guy in an apartment and everybody goes to him as the go-to guy. The New York Times, all these crummy establishment outfits, they know they have to talk to him. And you get the impression the 10th Amendment Center must be this huge facility with a Greek facade and Corinthian columns and whatever. And it's like half his apartment is the 10th Amendment Center. And he does this not with some billion-dollar budget like these crummy DC think tanks have. He has a tiny little budget. I mean, I donate to him every month because I think no one else is doing what he's doing. So that's an example. And by the way, if you happen to earn money while you are promoting the liberty message, and people in the liberty movement give you trouble for this, you tell them take their hammer and sickle someplace else. Yeah. Last thing. I have a guy on my show named Carlos Miller. He runs a website called photographyisnotacrime.com. And he shows you how to do what he's doing. Keeping an eye on the cops. Cop Block is another example of things people did. This is not a billion-dollar organization. It's just serious, committed people. So no more whining and crying. There's so much that's possible for us to do. I'm going to leave you with this. I've got two different levels of people who follow me. I've got people who listen to my show. I have a lot of people who listen to this show. It's great. Listen to it Monday through Friday, and I always have something I hope interesting on it. But this is something you can share with your friends, and it's great. But then I have a website, libertyclassroom.com, which is like the next level. Like if you want to understand Austrian economics and all this other stuff, U.S. history, at a really deep level, then this is the thing for you. And Kevin Gutzman teaches at it. And the idea of it is, we have 11 courses, and we just keep producing more, and they're available anytime you want, 3 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, anytime, on any device you want, in audio or video, whatever you prefer. And it's the stuff that I wish I was taught in school and I didn't have to spend my whole life trying to learn on my own. It's the real sort of thing. So there's that. All right, that's it. Here's what you now know about me. I'm keeping busy. I love this movement. I love you guys. This movement is not for people with short attention spans. It's for people who are in it for the long haul. And yes, I'm a short guy, but I'm full of energy, I'm full of enthusiasm, and I'm full of just honor and privilege to be associated with all of you awesome people who are fighting just as hard as I am. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, I've got a website to tell you about that some of you are going to like, some of you are not going to like, some of you won't care one way or the other, but it's created by a libertarian friend of mine who says, look, I really don't care about Donald Trump one way or the other, but I thought it would be funny to troll some leftists with some capitalism. And what he's done is he's created a site where he's going to earn affiliate commissions every time opponents of Trump buy anti-Trump merchandise. He's going to earn money from that. There's something fiendishly clever about that. The site is notyourprez.com with P-R-E-Z as the spelling, notyourprez.com. So he's pulled together a lot of this merchandise into one central location, and then he's going to market it to the appropriate audience, and then he's going to earn commissions on it. You have to admit there is something fiendishly clever about that, so I will link to it as the listener website mentioned at tomwoods.com/968. And in this episode, by the way, I mentioned an episode or two of my show, so I'll try and link to those things also. So I mentioned the Carlos Miller, Photography is Not a Crime, so if I remember, I will link to that stuff so you can listen to some fun episodes. So anyway, the point is, notyourprez.com is today's listener website. Of course, remember, what do you know by now? It's almost like the Contra Cruise at this point. You know it so well. You get bonuses when you use my link for your hosting, including I'll tell my whole audience about what you're up to, and that will get you some traffic so you won't have tumbleweed rolling along the day you launch your website. People will actually show up there, and then you can build from there. And I have other bonuses as well. We have a private bloggers group on Facebook just for people who use that link. A lot of great bonuses. I'll send you some tutorials. It's wonderful. How do you get these bonuses? Check them out at tomwoods.com/publicity. I'll see you next week.
Become a smarter libertarian in just 30 minutes a day. Visit tomwoods.com to subscribe to the show for free, and we'll see you next time.